Hi, I'm Janine Miller. This video is focusing on something that's extremely important these days, yet so very basic, and that is about respect. Respect needs to be our focus. Whether it's in the workplace or otherwise, we all need to regroup and look at ourselves and be sure we're focusing on behavior that is professional, compassionate, and shows competency, especially in the workplace. When we're out in the world, we definitely want to have the compassion side of us. And, if you look at things like social media these days, it's becoming almost oppressive. The way people are, who were once friends, are becoming very aggressive towards one another. I think they hide behind the typing and the words when they're commenting on things instead of just appreciating our differences and disagreeing, but in an intelligent way, expressing opinions, but in a kind way. Where did that go? Why are we losing so much of that? When we're in the workplace, it's important to pay attention to the organization mission, values, policies, and expected practices, and there should be absolutely no exceptions. And when I say that, I mean jump on any behaviors that are contrary. Here are some situations that come up in the workplace pretty often, which is why, again, I would address them right now. I'm very focused on relevant topics. Gossip. Now, if we stop and think about it, this happens far more than it should. It's highly disruptive in the workplace. And again, if you hear it, if you hear of it, you need to stop it. Untruthfulness. Well, of course, this is wrong, and this is very disruptive. Malicious behavior gets worse by the minute here as we describe behaviors. Malicious behavior can lead to workplace violence. So can gossip, however, and untruthfulness. Inappropriate comments. Inappropriate comments could actually move to being unlawful. Pursuing one's own agenda. We see people like this, that they try to make other people look bad to feel better or look better about themselves. And the reality is, when we speak negatively about somebody, that's a reflection of us, and it's a negative one. Bring your best self forward. This is not a frat or sorority house that you're working in. You're a leader, you're a supervisor, you're a business owner. You're charged to support, guide, and role model professionalism. To do otherwise is to be highly ineffective as a leader. There's also this heightened awareness. Society is making us ultra sensitive to so many things. There are plenty of situations where someone has said or done something which was inappropriate as it pertains to race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, transgender, disability, nationality. There's a whole lot of other characteristics out there. But the bottom line is, why can't we just respect everybody? Why can't we just appreciate what our differences bring to one another? Why can't we seek to understand rather than seek to be understood? Lawsuits have actually been filed against individuals responsible also for these kinds of behaviors and trends towards certain types of groups in particular. Your policy is related. You should have a statement regarding your stance expressing that a work environment needs to be free of discrimination and harassment in any form, including bullying. Yes, adults bullying in the workplace. Blows my mind. It's highly concerning. It's very disruptive. And it could also, again, lead to workplace violence. So things like harassment, bullying, whistleblower, workplace violence prevention, code of conduct, those are all important policies that should be clearly written up and in place, minimally in your handbook. As a leader, you must seek to address conflict, role modeling appropriate behaviors. You have to address complaints of staff. You have to act immediately, address consequences as appropriate, and go to that disciplinary action route if you have to. Now, all of these things are extremely important because they signal to your employees what you value. So if you're letting inappropriate behaviors go on, that's a reflection of you as a business owner, leader, supervisor, whatever. I use those, depending on the business you're in is how you'll identify. But the bottom line is you have to understand that it really looks poorly on a leader who doesn't adequately and immediately address issues that their employees are having. Ensure your workplace is free of disrespectful behaviors of one another for any reason is the bottom line. Think about this. If you yourself haven't conducted yourself appropriately, now we just talked about a few things. Just stop and think about what we just covered and put yourself in the position and see if you can identify with any of those characteristics. What about if you've witnessed inappropriate conduct? Did you just kind of turn your back on it and say, I just hope it goes away? Or have you been the target of inappropriate conduct? If you have, I'm sure you felt it, and I'm sure you can answer that pretty quickly. Inappropriate conduct cannot and will not be tolerated. So avoid behaviors that demeans, degrades, abuses, or shows disrespect to any individual, internally or externally. Definitely don't initiate it. Don't participate in it, and report it if someone doesn't stop. Recognize that the same remarks or gestures that seem acceptable to some people may be embarrassing, offensive, or unwanted by others. We need to have that thought that, somebody in earshot, even if they're kind of laughing or smiling, could be highly offended. They just don't know how to let you know that what's going on is bothering them. So again, if you see it, you need to stop it. And just because someone doesn't openly object doesn't mean they are not offended. I do see this, by the way, in harassment complaints and other types of employee complaints, where they say, this is being said all the time. I'm sitting here as the only woman, for example. They're making jokes about me related to being a woman and I should be home with my kids and whatever else. And, I'm laughing because it's kind of intimidating or embarrassing to be a whiner. It's not being a whiner. I should be brave enough to tell someone. But if I'm not, I need to be able to talk to somebody. So in your policies, hopefully you'll identify who that objective party would be that could help me solve this problem. Consider how you would react if inappropriate conduct or behavior were directed toward your spouse, family member, or someone else dear to you. And I would like you to pause and think about that. And then if you're seeing those behaviors in the workplace, consider one of your family members being the victim. Before you say or do anything, ask yourself how you would feel if your behavior were captured on video. And believe me, this is happening more and more these days, or reported in the newspaper or featured on the nightly news. Think before you act. Remember consequences that are lurking. There are liability issues for an organization and personal liability for an individual resulting from complaints of harassment and or creating a hostile work environment, for example. Human Rights Division takes complaints, federal EEOC, state court, workplace violence program reports, reports to leaderships that could involve disciplinary action. These are all different consequences that can result from such behaviors. The higher you are in an organization, the harder you fall. You've probably heard that phrase in the past. If your behaviors are contrary to policies and regulations, laws, and basically contrary to a respectful environment, keep in mind that ultimately you could lose your job. Being in a position that should know better makes you more vulnerable. Being a leader, an effective leader, should be your goal, and behaviors contrary show that you lack skills to be in such a position. And it really is that simple. I do leadership coaching, and if I'm sent somebody that has behaviors like this and the company says, could you please help them understand it? Boy, do I. I'm very blunt about it, because if they continue such behaviors, they absolutely are showing that they aren't worthy of a leadership role. Leaders found to be behaving in a manner that is contrary to workplace culture desires should be removed if you're serious about the type of culture desired, because again, leaders are the role models and people mirror us. So I just wanted to cover this quickly because I'm seeing so much disrespect in the workplace. Again, I'm out there dealing with hundreds of different employees on a regular basis. I'm helping employers deal with this. So I just wanted others to really get your head around this and start really carefully assessing your own work environment. Have you trained your employees? Did they have the anti-harassment training annually as they should? Did you train on workplace bullying? Did you train on the expected behaviors? Did you train that leaders should have and what they should be role modeling? Did you train on how to handle difficult employees? How to write people up if they need to be disciplined? Are you doing performance evaluations? All of these things start indicating what type of leader you are and how well you're building your foundation to appropriately manage your workplace. Naturally, I have all of this available for you. So take the time to watch these videos. They're very short, but they're very specific, and they are tangible things that you can implement. And I would highly recommend that you do so. I care enough to take the time to do these videos because I know how important this is to any business. Why would you want to get sued when you really could just be managing your workforce differently and better? I'm here for you if you need any additional help. Please take the time to review some of the videos on the website. And I hope this was helpful. I wish you a lot of luck out there. It's tough these days. I know how difficult it is to manage people, but I've been doing it long enough to say there's always a resolution, and don't stress out there on your own. Thank you and take care.